Hey everybody, it's John the Other here, obviously. Now, I'm giving you a warning at the beginning of this video. It's not a trigger warning, it's a rationality warning. I'm going to use a particular word to describe something in this video, and it's a word that is highly emotionally charged. And when most people hear it, their brains puke out all the rational capability and they will stop being rational animals and turns them into reactive monkeys. So try not to turn into a reactive monkey. Ready? The word is fascism. Are we all still fully functioning sentient adults? Good. Now, when I was very young, in my 20s, it was the Cold War. The Cold War that we all remember from history, or if you're younger, then you've heard about. I grew up during the Cold War, and it was gave us a sense of dread and terror. And as a young man, I was very negatively disposed towards the idea of fascism. That's that word. Remember, I'm talking about a political concept that exists in the real world, has existed throughout history, and you just need to not react emotionally when you hear that word. Just breathe or something. Anyway, I was very negatively disposed towards fascism, and I feared its emergence in my own society, right, in Canada, where I live. Coming from the US, I thought that I believed that fascism would emerge from government in this form of totalitarian, top-down suppression of citizens, quashing of freedom and so on, silencing of dissent, censorship of free speech and all this stuff. All this comes in this package when you think of the political manifestation of that thing, that F word, not feminism, the other one, the one that makes everybody's brain stop working, so I'm not going to say it again. And I was wrong. It doesn't come from the top down. Now, I've talked in the past about being on some sort of priority send John all of these petitions list coming from change.org. I think I'm on such a list because at one point I created a petition of my own to arm Palestine with nuclear weapons. There's still people jumping up and down and pulling their hair and calling me a terrorist or something, apparently unaware of the possibility that I might not have been 100% entirely serious. I might have been slightly in a mode of satire or commentary, but not actually intending to arm a bunch of unorganized refugees with nuclear weapons. It's just a thought. But if you guys prefer to keep jumping up and down and panicking about that I'm a terrorist, you're welcome to do that if it entertains you. However, because I did that petition, I get a lot of petitions sent to me, mostly from young women. Sometimes from the UK, which is where I got this one recently. And like almost all the other petitions I get sent, this one is a petition demanding censorship. Now, there's a line in here, to those who cry censorship, this is near the bottom of the petition's introduction, to those who cry censorship, back off. He's entitled to write and think what he likes. He's not, however, protected from the backlash against his output or removal of platform. Well, removal of platform is censorship. Definitionally. That is censorship. Removal of platform. Okay? Now, I want to talk a little bit about sort of freedom of speech and the converse freedom of hearing. Meaning, if there are people in my community, my neighborhood, my city, my country, my culture, North America, the Western world, who are saying stuff that is, new or challenging or controversial, I very firmly believe it is my right to hear it. It is my right to hear what people are saying in public. It is not just their right to say it. I think that's so obvious it doesn't even need to be explained. It is my right, your right, whoever's right, Christopher Hitchens' right. It is the right of every person to be able to speak their mind in public. And it's my right, and your right, and that guy, and over there. It's everybody else's right also to be able to hear what people say in public. So if my neighbor built a little soapbox and gets up on it and starts banging on and on about how he thinks National Socialism in the German 1930s model is a really good thing, not only does he have the right to say that, I have the right to hear it. You have the right to hear it if it's your neighbor doing that. If somebody is giving public speeches about I don't know, that we should segregate our city and put blacks on one side of the fence and whites on the other side, and maybe build another fence and put Asian immigrants on that side and native, like Aboriginal natives, put them in a separate, like segregate racially. Somebody starts talking about that. They not only have the right to say that, you have the right to hear it, to know that they are saying it. You don't have the right to silence them, and you also don't have the right to prevent other people from hearing them. This is the fundamental nature of freedom of speech or freedom of expression. So this petition that I got, and almost all the other petitions that I get, are demanding censorship of a book or of a band or of a public speaker or whatever. And where I was wrong in my 20s is that I thought fascism would come, there's that word again, remember? Don't panic when you hear it. I thought fascism would come from top down, from government, and it doesn't. Fascism is grassroots. Fascism comes from young, idealistic, like do-gooders. Fascism comes from student activists, young women on college campuses, social justice warriors. Now, understand, I'm not saying the word fascism as a lash, as an insult. I mean, it does have some pretty negative connotation. I'm saying the word fascist or fascism because it is the precise and correct word to describe this political phenomenon. This is what fascism is. I was wrong. My ideas about fascism when I was young, when I was in my 20s, came from Hollywood, from watching movies about the Cold War, from watching movies about spies and stuff, about fascist or totalitarian regimes, about dystopian futures. But fascism doesn't come from the top down. It comes from the bottom up. And the social justice phenomenon of silencing everybody who isn't social justice, or who wants to write dating books. Go read some non-Rouge dating advice and tell me that you don't find social manipulation in there too. To silence a band or a speaker or political speech or minority political speech, that is de facto censorship. That is fascism. And so we are becoming a fascist society. Not we're having fascism imposed on us from the top down, because apparently that's not how it actually works. Fascism comes from young student idealists. And fascism is the correct word. That is actually what this is. Anyway, I hope that's food for thought, and that when you hear that word, you don't, the F word, not feminism, the other one, hopefully you can hang on to your rationality without flying into a red-hot reactive and cease being a thinking human being.